people of the internet. Ian, also the Freedom Astrologer here. I'm bringing you a dose of freedom. So guys, this video is about deeper things, deeper topics. I personally love this type of astrology kind of mixed with psychology and our deeper beliefs. And we're going to be dissecting a chart. We're also going to be dissecting beliefs that this person whose chart it actually is, or quite similar. And I'm going to show you how beliefs are formed and how everything in our reality that we kind of believe so strongly about, it's that there's a reason behind it, and there's a reason behind these beliefs, and very often these reasons can be very, very weird and strange, but very often associated with still our childhood. So I will preface this video as well. I have full permission from this person who came to me with their problems to kind of share this story, to share this pattern, share the work we did together to open up this understanding that was going on and was ruining and running their lives. And I changed a little bit of the chart to make it a little bit different, but the gist is the same here, guys. And let's start diving in, and let's start diving deeper into what it is that we're going to dissect here. So guys, first and foremost, let's look at a little bit of the astrology. You can see when we're going to focus on one area here. And this area is the 9th house for this person. We're using tropical and we're using whole sign house system for this specific one. And you can see here there is a stellium in the sign of Scorpio. Not the easiest ones, one of the easiest ones, you know, most likely if you've been into astrology and kind of know astrology. And there are a couple of planets here. Moon, the home, the mother, you know. The 9th house, which is very much associated with our beliefs, what we believe in. There's Pluto here, the ruler of the 9th house, Scorpio. And there is also Venus here, our own self-worth, our the possessions, the material possessions that we have in our lives, and you know, the deeper side of self-worth that we also have within ourselves. So guys, keep this in mind when I start to tell this story, and remember that Scorpio is a fixed sign. Fixed signs very often you like to and are more accustomed to, or more prone to hold on to things, kind of grasp onto things, and they have a harder time of letting go of things as well. So keep this in mind when we start to go through this story that this person was going through, and how we dissected it, so that they actually now, after understanding the deeper reasons why they're doing the things they're doing, are experiencing more freedom in their lives. So this person came to me with a problem, and the story you know, went along the lines of, look, I have these things, these material possessions. I'm very kind of protective of them. I'm almost even scared to have people use them, to have people even touch them at times. And when people touch them and sometimes they break, and this triggers a lot of pain inside of me. And even it went as far as they started yelling at their spouse when the spouse, you know, maybe broke something or hit something, you know, a lamp, you know, they bump a head to their lamp. And there was this kind of huge triggering going on during these moments for this person. And they came to me, and I was okay. So first, and obviously you start to look at the chart, like what can be doing this, and what is going on in the chart. And I saw this stellium, and I saw this Venus in the 9th house in Scorpio. And now you can see that, you know, some of the pieces are already fitting, like worth and things and positions, material positions. Some you know, clues here are already coming in. Now, one of the things that they also mentioned is that the belief had gone so far that they were even scared of people coming to visit their new apartment, their new home, because they were scared that they will break something there, that they will, cause a fuss or a mess in the apartment. They were so deeply afraid that they didn't even want to have people over. So you can see, guys, also when I'm telling this, you can see where, like, when a person is living like this, it's not freedom. It's more about suffering. Already the relationship starts to suffer. Their own kind of being starts to suffer, because every time something is going on with their material possessions, somebody touches them, somebody's close to them, or somebody even breaks them, it brings up so much emotion, so much feeling. And again, that unprocessed feeling actually sometimes even gets pushed outside by the person, and then the triggering starts, the yelling starts, the kind of shaming even starts as well. Now and we started to now dissect, because I want to always, when a person comes to me, I ask more questions. I ask what was going on, because now you can see, okay, so the moon, okay, something to do with the home environment, something to do with quite possibly the father, because it's a ninth house, because the ninth house ruler is here as well, and maybe something to do with their worth and possessions. We know all about the possessions because they're telling us that as well. Now you can ask people questions of, okay, so you see that, and okay, so what was the relationship with the father? Like, what was happening with the father during childhood? Now, this opened up a bunch of stuff for this specific person, because it turned out, and this is where it kind of gets really, we can say painful, but, juicy as well, is it turned out that the person experienced extreme neglect by the father. Their father wasn't really there emotionally. They were kind of like almost missing. They were living separately. And what the father did was they gave the person money, but they didn't give them presents. They didn't give emotional nurturing. They didn't give time, attention. They didn't give that warmth and love to that person. Instead they give them money. Now, what this person at a young age, obviously, you start doing, you need that nurture, you need that love, you need that attention from the father figure. Of course, the mother figure as well, but in this case, the father figure, it wasn't there. Now, what this person instead started doing, because they were young, they didn't understand, they were a child, so they can't give that attention to themselves, and any young person can't yet do that if they're not, taught properly. So very often what happens here is the person goes and turns their attention outside. So they took the money and started buying all sorts of things, material possessions. And they bought these things, they bought these possessions, they bought more and more and more. The father gave more money and more and more and more of these possessions. And they were living with lot of these material things outside of them, and very, very close vicinity to them. And what actually started happening was these possessions and getting these possessions. So two things. So after even going out and buying these things, like shopping, starting to substitute love and attention, and also the actual material things, the possession, also started to mean that I'm loved and I have love for the person. So whenever they have the possessions and they can go out and buy the things, they're actually experiencing that love feeling in adulthood as well. And they kind of substituted the actual warmth and love and attention of the father and emotional nurture of the father with material possessions. So material possessions actually start to equal love and attention to this person. Now, I want you to kind of wrap your head around this for a second, because a lot of that Scorpioness and Scorpio deep energy can be like this, and it can be tricky and can be suppressed. And it was very surprising when we kind of dissected and understood this pattern for this person. And after they said it out loud and they kind of understood it, you know, a wave of emotion, actually, a wave of huge grief and sadness came out as well. And this is also okay. Like if you're an astrologer, if you come to a therapy session or an astrology session, especially with me, you know, every kind of emotion is fine there, and it needs to come out, guys, there, because we you know, in the case of this person, they went and bought more things and they got more things and they were scared about their already had the things they had about, and you know, instead of feeling that grief of losing that love of the father, or that father not being there for them, they substituted that with these material possessions. Now, and that brings you know, a lot of sadness and a lot of grief. And when you start to grieve that and allow yourself that emotion, then a new wave of freedom actually can come from it. And you can start, first and foremost, you can stop doing that so much. Obviously it takes a little bit of time, and I will get to that in a second as well. But already that first understanding of the pattern, on letting that pattern go to some extent, to go into it, to understand what's really driving this you know, craziness with these material possessions, this fear of somebody will, you know, break my vase or break my, you know, whatever it is, jewelry, whatever it is, a lamp, for example, you know. And guys, I want you to, you know, take a moment to understand how deep these patterns actually go, and how our minds and our beliefs start to create this reality for ourselves. We find these substitutes, we start to do these things when we kind of become these things and these matters. So it's really important to dissect these when you start to understand that there's, you know, you're doing something that is very obviously causing you suffering. It's okay to seek for help. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to get to the bottom of these things and allow yourself to process these emotions as well. Now, and you know, in the case of this person, you know, they were really yearning for that attention and emotional closeness with their father, and they didn't get it. And that kept constantly that cycle of going and buying new things and being even more and more and more and more and scared of if somebody, you know, breaks the thing, I'm not lovable, I lose love again. Hopefully it makes sense. And but now, once they kind of understood that where this pattern is coming from, you know, wave of emotion, grief, tears came, they let some of that go, felt lighter immediately. But now, you know, the second part comes, because you're an adult now, and it's very hard for you to go to your father and get that emotional closeness, and sometimes the father is passed on and stuff like that, but very often the father hasn't done the work to be able to be there for you now, and even in adulthood, to kind of be there and offer that emotional closeness. This is where it gets really tricky. And you know, it is in my mind a two-parter. First and foremost, you need to start to, maybe even a three-parter, you need to understand and grieve, let go of that sadness, cry, process that emotion, then start to put attention and give yourself the attention. So in the case of this person, not go shopping, not go buy new things, or not go into that crazy mode of need to protect everything and I need to take care of my possessions and nobody can come here. Instead of going into that space, you need to go internally within and start to give yourself that emotional nurture, emotional care, and presence, actually, which is very important in this case. And the second part is, or the third part actually, sorry, is to take people you trust, you know, your spouse, tell them, share them this story, tell them that you have problem here. And you know, very often these people, you know, choose spouses as well, to, or very similar to that. So they give them money, but they don't give them presence or emotional nurture. So instead of spending your time like that with your spouse, like they give you money and you go buy something, now it's time to also start spending quality time with your close people, and that will also give you that emotional nurturing time, or presence, sorry. So hopefully this, guys, makes sense to you. Hopefully this kind of shows you how deep these patterns can go to, and what we can actually start to do in material life, instead of processing the actual grief and emotion and sadness that is still stuck somewhere in our consciousness. And I think here astrology is a very, very good tool to kind of dissect these things, to dissect these beliefs. And if you're interested in kind of like working with me one-on-one, or you want to learn about these matters from me, there's a webinar I did about this very subject. And you can also book a one-on-one counseling session with me, where I use astrology, where I use these types of psychological approaches as well. And we will do our best to get to the bottom of things, why you do these things, why are you, you know, going shopping when you really don't need to go shopping, usually filling up a feeling, or filling up a grief internally, you know. And yeah, guys, I hope this makes sense to you. I hope it gave you a lot in your pursuit towards freedom. And if you recognize yourself, you can use some of this, kind of going back to your childhood, and see where some of these things might have gotten their start from. And I hope you, and I wish you actually a lot of freedom, a lot of liberation, and a lot of letting go of these things, a lot of letting go of these patterns. And I hope to see you soon on the next video that I will do as well. Ian, also the Freedom Restorers, are out for now. Thank you very much for watching, listening. Bye for now.